Hey there, it's Mike. Thanks for checking out this video. And I just want to let everyone know who is subscribers that yes, I am alive. I am functioning. I am above ground. If you've been following my channel, especially for any length of time, like a few months, last year, started whenever, you'll know I've not done a video in a long time. And my excuse is 2024 was an extremely difficult year for me personally. I had multiple things just going on that were very difficult to deal with, and they're all kind of happening at the same time, which is never fun if you've experienced that. So I didn't do a lot of shooting. I wasn't motivated to shoot, yet alone do any YouTube videos. But as we're getting into warmer weather here, it's going to be June starting tomorrow, a little more motivated. I did some shooting last couple months maybe, and so things are sort of turning the corner here, and I've had this idea in my head of wanting to do this video and finally getting around to doing it. And so it's good to be back. Number one, if you're following my channel, whether it was starting a couple weeks ago or last year, thank you for sticking around and checking this video out. But I had the chance about, I don't know, I'd say a couple months ago, maybe, to photograph my first protest rally. One of my photographer friends, Brian, who joins our Wednesday morning group down at the coffee shop downtown, found out about this rally and said, hey, you know, we should maybe go to this. And I was like, yeah, why not? It'd be something to do for a couple hours and something different. And I had a lot of fun. It was a lot more enjoyable than I thought. So being a political rally, I want to say right off the bat, I'm hoping like the comments and stuff don't devolve into something where it gets kind of heated and it turns ugly. I posted some of my favorite images in one of my local Facebook groups, and it quickly devolved into name calling and stuff, and the administrators had to get involved. And political disclaimer, I'm not here to endorse or condemn the side. I didn't go in it with one or the other, even if I agreed with or didn't agree with some of the stuff I heard or saw. I was there as a photographer to cover the event. So that was sort of my goal. So I wasn't there to endorse or condemn or whatever. So I'm hoping this video will be kind of the straight and narrow, and I'm hoping the comments, we can just kind of focus on the images and things like that, whether or not some of them may evoke a response from you, and they probably should. That's what a good photograph does. So anyway, so went to this rally, and I will say it was a protest rally that was against Trump and Elon Musk. And so I knew going in, you know, what it was all about and things like that. I wasn't blind to it, but this will kind of be like a stream of consciousness thing. Like, I'll give you some tips. We'll go over some of my images, things like that, things that I learned, and things that I screwed up on, things I wish I had done differently, things like that. But anyway, so we met before the rally. There was about 3 or 4 of us photographers, and then we actually just kind of split off in a way and did our own thing, and then we met back together. But well, I think when I go into something like that, it's street photography, but it's really event photography, but it's still on the streets and it's still in public. So it's this weird kind of hybrid. So I didn't necessarily put my street photographer hat on. I put my old photojournalism hat on. And with that in mind, my challenge for me, which is really difficult, is I looked at it as, you know, going back to college, going back to what Skip Zacher taught me. Shout out to Skip. Still doing photography to this day because of Skip Zacher at UW Oshkosh. The challenge for me was I want to cover it as sort of like a photo essay. So, and I challenge you to do the same. Like, there's the overall shots. I have overall shots of the crowd, and there's all sorts of signs, multiple signs and things like that, and that's great. I have, you know, what I consider the low-hanging fruit of a protest rally is just like a person holding a sign, a really like evoking sign or an offensive sign or whatever. That's easy to get, and I have those. I have a few of those, but I also have some of my medium type of shots that I like, where it's just like maybe 3 or 4 signs and like a group of people. I kind of like those the best. I think they're better than the big overall shot, which tells a story, and then the close-up of maybe one person, maybe in like some colorful costume or whatever. Those are like important shots to get, I guess, to tell the overall story. If you're thinking of it as a photo essay like I was. but it's sort of low-hanging fruit and it's easy to get, and so I took some of those, and and I like them. But my challenge was in the midst of sort of this chaos, because there's sounds everywhere, there's things to look at, there's even smells, there's noise, there's just so many things like fighting for your attention. And if you know anything about my street photography, I love doing like just close-ups, like a snippet of the overall story. I have a lot of street images where it's just like, here's some shoes on the sidewalk, here's a woman's hat, here's an umbrella, just stuff like that. And so in the middle of a protest rally, to try to find those other storytelling images that go along with the bigger things, that was the challenge, and that was hard, because there's just so much fighting for your attention, and you're standing there and you're like, should I shoot this and photograph that? And the idea of like calming down and slowing down and picking out these little nuggets, these smaller close-up shots almost, that fulfill the rest of the photo essay when you're telling the story. That was the challenge. So that would be my that was my goal going in, was to try to figure out where are those little shots and the big shots. So I challenge you to do that if you go to a protest rally. One of the mistakes that I made as a photojournalist covering the event was that there was only one sort of outburst. There was one arrest, and a guy who was not involved in the rally at all. He was actually Uber driving, is what I learned later. He pulled up at the main corner of this at the stoplight, and he was driving a Tesla. And so, the rally was against Trump and Musk. So someone actually came out of the crowd and went onto the street and started yelling at the guy through his window. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but the driver got out and started like defending himself, started yelling back, and next thing you know, there's a couple punches being thrown, cops got involved. I happened to spend most of the rally up on this sort of, not really a platform, but the structure, which is kind of the heart of downtown Appleton. And so I could see all this, and I got a couple shots of the driver like pointing at him and yelling at and things like that. The driver's wife, I believe is what I heard, was actually at the rally. And as the guy who came out and started yelling through the window at this guy, he actually got arrested. The driver's wife, try to follow this, the driver's wife had a sign or whatever, and she was yelling at this guy. And I was standing there watching it, and I was just like, wow, you're captured by what's happening. And I didn't get any pictures of it. Like, Skip would have been so upset. He'd be so upset if he knew. And they were pretty emotional images, and I miss them. And that was a total screw up by me. Like, I haven't put that photojournalism hat and covered an event like that. I don't think I've ever covered a protest rally, but to miss that shot later, I was just like, I can't believe I missed it. Like, and so to always be ready and always to be able to cover everything and know that, you want to get these great images and tell the story. Totally missed that one. I have a couple other ones from the guy getting walked to the cop car and things like that, and those are fine, but I think I missed really good shots with that one. But anyway, so always be aware, always, be attuned to what's going on. You never know what's what could break out next to you or close to you or whatever. I was lucky to have that sort of, I climbed up and then climbed up again. I had one of the highest positions on that sort of structure to photograph different things. So yeah, I got the overall stuff, but some of my favorite images, like there's gonna be people like probably dressed up in costumes or whatever, and there was a woman there in red with like a white bonnet, like a handmade tail sort of costume, and she's like in this group, and she turned in a way that the bonnet covered half of her face, and you could just see one of her eyes, and it's just like a really neat like portrait of someone who's at this rally, and that's one of my favorite images. Another image that I really like, that it's actually a close-up image that I could actually get and like and be able to focus on, was someone who was on the structure near me holding up a sign, and that was facing the crowd, and I was behind her. And she was holding a sign, and I got this close-up of just like her arm, and it had a whole bunch of bracelets on it, and I just got like the bracelets and the back of the sign, which is all white, and I love that image. It's just very different, and it goes along with the rest of the overall other images I've got of people's faces and their signs and things like that. So the idea the goal to find these smaller snippets was hard, especially when there's just so much going on around you. But I was really happy with the stuff that I got. Try not to engage. Like, I was joking around with some of the people there, but I'm not there to like rah for somebody or condemn somebody whether or not I agree or disagree. It's just there to cover the event. After the event, kind of basically, one of the speakers was like, "Hey, we're all going to march down to blah blah." So the event was kind of over, and they were supposed to go somewhere and stuff. I got off the structure, and I was right, with a couple other of my photographer friends, and we were just kind of milling around. And all of a sudden, a guy in a truck with like 2 or 3 Trump flags on the back drove right down the main drag, and a bunch of people started yelling and swearing, and there was a woman in front of me who her husband was standing next to her, and he had a sign, and she was cursing and giving him the finger, and it was one of my best shots. The emotion in this shot actually turned it to black and white, and it works really effective as black and white. One of my favorite images, and again, it was one of the last images I photographed, was her like with her mouth open and her giving this guy the finger, and her husband was in the background kind of turned with a sign, and it was just phenomenal photojournalism. Now that's a shot that Skip would be very proud that I got. He'd be very disappointed I missed that one, but I made up for it with this one. And anyway, so I actually got that woman's contact information, and I actually sent her some of the images, and she was like, "I'm usually not like that. Like, ask my husband." But the emotion in that, the emotion that's going to be at a protest rally is going to be all over the place. It's really easy to capture that. So it was a lot of fun. I'm glad Brian suggested that, because I didn't even know about the event, and I'd be more than willing to go to a protest rally, or not even a protest, or just a rally that was pro-Trump, and photograph that. Like, that would be a lot of fun too, just to cover that event. So it was neat. I got some good images, and it was fun to sort of be out there in public and do some street photography. Street photography was really event photography. And so I think I'm going to do something a little different. Like, normally I will go to the computer and I'll show you stuff and I'll comment. I think I'm just going to end the video here. I'm just going to have a slideshow with some music. And I'm going to just share my favorite images. So leave some comments below. Let me know what you think. If you have photographed a rally yourself, like, let me know your experiences, what you thought. But check out my images below. Check out my links below, things like that. It's good to be back doing another video. Thanks for watching, sticking it out with me. If you're here watching, I hope to try to do 1 or 2 a month, some, different variety. I just shot some stuff last night. Hopefully I can do a video of that upcoming in the future. So until then, it's getting nice out. Hopefully where you are, it's definitely getting nice out here in Wisconsin. So get out there and photograph, get some great images. I'll see you soon with another video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.